When I think of West Indies versus India in Test match cricket, well, I think, of course, of highly skilled batters and highly skilled spinners from an Indian perspective, and then I match that with talented, flamboyant, arrogant batters from a West Indian perspective and mean, aggressive, fast bowlers.
West Indians are superstars. They are godified as much as Indian superstars are. Michael Holding walking in Jamaica or in Trinidad or in Barbados may not get hounded as much as he would in Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai. And the same could be said for Clive Lloyd, for Viv Richards, for Brian Lara, for Ambrose and Walsh. For us, the West Indies have, I guess, always represented a really high standard and the might of fast bowling. And we've had batters, yes, we've had batters, but we never quite had the appeal that comes with not one, not two, not three, but 4 fast bowlers going at a strong batting lineup. So fast bowling was sexy, and it was the West Indies that started that.
I think both, obviously play hard cricket. It was always a joy to watch. I think both of the teams had superior batsmen, and you obviously, guys obviously spend a lot of time scoring runs. Whether it was Sachin Tendulkar, obviously Brian Lara, Shana Paul, obviously to just name a few. It was always great to see the runs. For me as a batsman watching on, that was one of the things I took from it as a youngster. For me watching those great batsmen go about, their time at the crease, was a pleasure for me as a youngster.
Carl Hooper whips it away down towards long on and gets his double century.
Growing up, you just followed India versus the West Indies games so much. You couldn't see them on television, but certainly the radio commentary and memories of listening to the voices on the radio of India whenever India toured the West Indies, just following the cricket, some of the great West Indian names of the past.
The first name that jumps to mind when I think about India as a test-playing nation, of course, is Sunil Gavaskar, who debuted in the Caribbean at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain, Trinidad. He's still the Kings, and Lord Relator sang this very popular calypso about Sunil Gavaskar when he played in that 71 series and how dominant he was with the bat. He spoke about Gavaskar being the real master, and even today that song is being sung when both these test-playing nations compete against each other.
In '76, when India went back and managed to win a most extraordinary game, they chased a score in excess of 400, something that was only done by Bradman's Invincibles. And as a result of India chasing 400 plus against the West Indies, it is said quite famously now that Lloyd lost all respect for spin bowling. And a few days later at Jamaica, he fielded for the first time, and certainly not the last, a 4-man pace attack. And that set the trend for what is perhaps the most exciting, dominant period by a team in the history of cricket. And it started because India chased 400 plus against 3 West Indian spinners.
Well, listening to the radio, Viv Richards, he came from my area, So then in my era, obviously Sachin Tendulkar.
Lovely shot.
I was a competition between him and Brian Lara as to who is the best player in the world at the time.
Oh, what a response. What a good shot that is from Brian Lara.
One of the first memories I would have I remember Shana Paul, Shana Paul scoring some runs against him when he was quite young.
And he might just get it this time. He's pushed it into the straight field. He hurries for one. Will he go back for the third? And he does. He decides to go for the third, and there are a lot of people running onto the field as well. It's Chandra Paul's first Test match 100, and it's absolute chaos.
That's a good shot.
My childhood was scarred by just watching Shivnarine Chandrapal bat. He just did not get out against India. I'm sure in a multiverse, he's still batting against India somewhere. And of course, as I come to the Caribbean for the first time in 2023, his son is batting, so there is still a Chandrapal batting.
It was always one of those dreams of coming and playing in the West Indies for me. And to come here in '97, I just started playing. It was my first year of international cricket. To come and play here in the West Indies against the likes of Ambrose and Walsh and Brian Lara and Carl Hooper and Chandra Paul was truly special.
Caught behind. So Walsh gets the wicket. Latchman goes for 56. Gone. Bishop gets the first wicket. Just the merest of touches, and Jadeja was on his way.
My career against India was not as you know, as elaborate as other nations, but I do remember that 1997 Test match with Barbados, where India didn't have much to make to win. You know, in the fourth innings of the game, and we were able to pull off a victory. I being the captain, Sachin was also the captain.
Edged and taken by Lara. This is a big blow for India. Brian Lara has done it.
To pull off such a winner, that would definitely be one of the moments of my career in battles against India.
No one gave us a chance. We had our supporters, but in the back of their minds, they figured, boy, this is going to be tough. You know, so to me, it was a really, really nice feeling. And I mean, to win by 30 runs or so, even make it more special. It wasn't even close in the end.
That kept very, very low. Azharuddin could do nothing about it.
My first and only Test century came against India way back in 1997, so that was a proud moment for me. I remember vividly that Sidhu got a double century in that game, and I think I dropped him at third slip. We were getting very close, the pitch was keeping very low. And like I said, it was my first Test century. I made 128 in the second inning. I think Roland Holder made 91. So those are one or two cues that I remember vividly.
My own personal experience playing against India was in 2006. Brian Lara was the captain. I was in and amongst players like Chris Gale, who was my opening partner, Shiv Narayan Chandapal, Ramnaresh Sawan, Pedro Collins, Mervyn Dillon. Luckily for me, I had a very good season and series against India. I think I scored the most runs in that series, got 100 against India. Unfortunately, in that series, we went down, losing the last Test match, I think by a narrow margin. After 3 draws, it allowed India to win the series. It was such an honor playing against high caliber Indian players and playing in and amongst my teammates who were at that time, you know, very much on top of their own game.
And then to come back here as a captain in 2007 and, you know, to be able to win a series here in the West Indies and to win Test matches, to win the Test match, the deciding Test match in Jamaica.
He goes over the top and it's a big 6.
The Estes got it, a battling, fighting 100. He's still a solid wall, Rahul Dravid.
To make a contribution in that particular game, you know, and win a series after a really long time. I think after 1971 we hadn't won a series here for 36 years, and to captain the team and win that series, you know, was very special.
Making my Test debut against India was a pretty special moment for me. Pretty unexpected as well, but it's something I always wanted to do as a child, you know, to make my Test debut, and for it to be against a nation like India, it's a moment I'll always cherish.
Just, I think, you know, just that legacy, just the incredible contest between India and the West Indies, in some ways the shared history as well, with so many people from the Indian subcontinent, you know, coming and making the West Indies their home over the decades, has lent, I think, an extra charm or an extra sort of value to some of these games.
Well, West Indies and India have a special relationship. I think this goes a long way back.
Playing against India, it's always a good feeling. It's always tough opposition, home or away. But at the end of the day, it's good camaraderie with each and every player.
We have a lot of things in common. Subhash Gupte, who was considered by Gary Sobers as one of the great spinners of his era, fell in love with the Trinidadian girl and settled here. Viv Richards fell in love in India and had a daughter who I went to school with in Mumbai. So there is a lot that intertwines us as a people, and that respect and that affection will always carry forward on the cricket field as well.
You can feel that around the islands, you know, everywhere you go, people speak to you about Test cricket. I find it amazing. I haven't toured here for 12 years, 13 years, and And people still will, you know, say, hey Rahul, and, you know, tell me some of my stats and remind me about some of the innings that I've played here in the West Indies. And I find that you don't really see that in too many other places in the world other than India. So, you know, I think that love and passion for the game in these islands and in India will always make this contest and this rivalry something special.
Being a part of any historical match for the West Indies is always going to be something special for any player. To be a part of the 100th Test for me is going to be something I could sit my kids down when I retire and tell them about. So it's going to be something to savor.
1948-49, that is when these two great cricketing nations started their love affair in Test match cricket, and now it has blossomed into celebrating 100 Test matches between these two nations. What a journey it has been for all the players who've been involved. As someone who has been part of that journey and part of that legacy, I just hope that the camaraderie, the true spirit that these two teams have played Test match cricket with in the past, I hope that that will continue. I hope that we will continue to see many great, talented players come and compete for either nations in this format of the game, because for us, this is a preserved and revered format of the game. And I know that, that these two cricketing nations will continue to entertain millions all over the globe.
And I think the India-West Indies series is always a special one. You know, I think both nations, you know, had, you know, great players, you know, legends of the game. They always had great battles, you know, in India and in the Caribbean. So to be here and within the series playing against India, for me, it's a pleasure. You know, it's an honor, you know, for me to be playing here, playing for West Indies, you know, being the Test captain. You know, I look forward to this 100th game, and, you know, I look forward to us going out there and doing extremely well.